Anxiety often gets described as debilitating. It can stop you from functioning, ruin your day, and leave you unable to move forward. Or at least that's how it feels. But what if I told you anxiety isn't actually what's stopping you? What if I told you that the real problem isn't the anxiety itself, but the way you're responding to it? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to explain why anxiety feeling debilitating doesn't mean it actually is, how we unintentionally make it worse, and what we can do to break free from the cycle. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Tim Box. I'm a mind coach and anxiety specialist. And for more than a decade, I've been helping people take control of their anxiety response. Now, if that sounds like something you could use, then hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Okay, so let's talk about why anxiety seems so debilitating and what we can actually do about it. When I'm talking to clients, they'll often tell me that their anxiety has become so overwhelming that it's stopped them from actually functioning. Maybe they've had to take time off work or put certain projects on hold until they can get the other side of their anxiety issue. In some way, they feel unable to function properly in the face of all this anxiety. In these instances, there's a very simple truth that's being missed. Stopping you in your tracks and putting your life on hold is not what your mind is trying to achieve when it makes you anxious. In fact, anxiety's actual purpose is the complete opposite. So let's start at the beginning. Anxiety is one of our many emotional responses, and like all emotions, it has a very specific purpose. In the same way that fear is the emotion our mind uses to steer us away from danger, and anger is the emotion for inspiring us to right a wrong that's been done to us, anxiety has a singular function. That function is to point out what is currently deemed to be important. Anxiety is designed to focus our attention and to push us towards action when something important needs addressing. Its purpose is as a motivator, not a roadblock. So when we can't stop thinking about the upcoming presentation or the deadline we've got at work or that important final exam, that's anxiety telling us to make sure we're prepared and that we do our best, because this thing matters. Anxiety is the tool your mind uses to get you to take action on the current, most pressing situation. But if that's the case, why does it often feel like it's stopping us? Put simply, the reason for this is that instead of responding to whatever issue anxiety is flagging up, we start perceiving anxiety itself as the problem. And if we start believing that anxiety itself is a problem, that's when things potentially start to spiral. Here's an example of how it happens. It starts off with us going through our daily life feeling rising and falling levels of anxiety as our mind focuses us on the things that are important as they come and go. Then at some point, something really important comes along and we start to perceive some level of threat associated with it. This then might cause us to have those more visceral physical sensations. Now, whilst this is a perfectly natural response to threat, the increased heart rate, the tense muscles, the feeling of unease in our body, it doesn't mean it isn't uncomfortable when it comes to us in a seemingly unfamiliar context. Yes, the fight or flight response might seem perfectly acceptable if we were being chased by someone with a gun, but if we're just thinking about an upcoming difficult conversation, it might not feel as appropriate. But in this situation, perhaps we can accept that once the thing we're anxious about has passed or we've done what we needed to do, then the anxiety will diminish again. However, sometimes we can get highly anxious about a situation that we can't actually do anything about. Maybe we have a health issue and we're waiting for test results. Maybe we're worrying about someone else's problem who we care about. Or perhaps we're concerned about the state of the world as a whole. Global warming, the current government, asteroids potentially hitting the Earth. And whilst our mind is focusing our attention on it, trying to get us to change something about the situation, there's just nothing we can actually do. In these instances, we might feel anxious about this stuff for so long that we then start to focus on the fact that we just feel anxious all the time. Instead of focusing on the external issue, we focus on that feeling of anxiety. We don't like how it feels, so we start trying to fight it, control it, or make it go away. And here's the problem. The more we try to get rid of anxiety, the more we reinforce the idea that the anxiety itself is dangerous. This makes us even more anxious, and now we're just anxious about being anxious. The cycle repeats, anxiety stacks on top of itself, and suddenly it feels like we're completely stuck. So here's the thing. Anxiety itself isn't what's stopping you. It's the way you're reacting to it. You're looking at it as the big problem right now, so of course you're trying to get rid of it. And you're trying to do this because it feels so horrible, right? Well, actually, wrong. The physical sensations that come with high anxiety, that fear response we're talking about, you deliberately invoke those sensations yourself in dozens of other situations. I had a client recently telling me how she loved horror movies, but only likes the ones that actually scare her. She'd now stopped watching them because, thanks to a couple of panic episodes, she started to become afraid of feeling afraid. She started associating those sensations with her anxiety issue. But this is the point. It's not the feelings themselves that are the issue. Most of us like to feel adrenaline rushing through our body, and this particular client certainly did. She'd only stopped liking those sensations now because of the story she was telling herself about what they actually meant. When we start to fear feeling anxious, we start to treat those natural, healthy physical responses as malevolent or maladaptive. We start to question our mental health and wonder if we'll ever feel better again. It's that fear of never recovering that has us feeling awful every time our body does that natural process of responding to a fearful thought. So if the real issue isn't anxiety itself but our response to it, how do we break free from the cycle? It all comes down to one key idea. Anxiety is not a direct threat. Now, I know it feels like a threat, but it isn't. Feeling anxious or afraid has never damaged you before, and it never will. It's just your mind trying to help in the best way it knows how. When we stop trying to fight or fix anxiety and instead just allow it to be there, it naturally starts to settle. Think about this. If someone jumps out from the shadows and screams, you'll very probably jump. Your heart rate will go from 60 beats a minute to about 160 in an instant as your body prepares you for battle. Oh, but then you realize it's just your friend playing a trick on you. What happens then? Your heart rate goes back to normal. Maybe you even laugh about what just happened. Put simply, as soon as you realize you're safe, the fear response stops and you return to your default state, which is calm. No matter what your history, diagnosis, or relationship with anxiety is, your default state as a human being is to return to calm when you no longer feel under threat. The state of high anxiety only persists because we've told ourselves there's something wrong with these feelings, and as a result, we've created an ongoing sense of threat. Yes, you're going to feel anxiety levels rise and fall as life throws you its challenges. But the only reason anxiety persists beyond the challenge that initially caused it is because we've now started to perceive anxiety itself as the big problem, and we're telling ourselves a negative story about what this means. So, the next time you feel like anxiety is stopping you from moving forward, remind yourself of this. Anxiety isn't stopping you. It's only your reaction to it that does that. Anxiety is just your mind trying to help you, and the moment you stop treating it like the problem, it stops feeling like one. I really hope this video has given you a new perspective on anxiety, why it feels so overwhelming at times, and more importantly, why it doesn't have to. If you found this helpful, then why not check out the members area of the channel. There, I dive deeper into topics like this, offering exclusive content, my full Clear Your Head anxiety relief program, and weekly live Q&A sessions. Hit the join button on my homepage or the link in the description below, and I'll see you there. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on taking control of your anxiety. That's all for now. I'm Tim Box. Always remember, be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.